Hi guys, Danny here from Daniel Ackerley Photography. I'm going to be doing a few little videos for you guys to help introduce you to using your phone for photography, to stop just taking snaps, but actually start thinking about all the little techniques that you can teach yourself and the ways that you can make your photography a bit better. And the best thing about so much of what we're going to talk about is the fact that this can be used on your phone or a proper camera. These techniques can be employed in all those scenarios. But one of the things I like to talk about when we first do mobile phone photography is about composition. And what I mean by composition, it's the way you arrange the different elements of your image to make for a good picture. And something that that I talk about a lot, it's one of the first things I tell people about photography when they ask me, how can I take good photos? Is I introduce them to the rule of thirds. And what the rule of thirds is it's a technique that we photographers use to arrange the elements of our frame to create a really fun image. But the best thing about the rule of thirds, especially if you're a mobile phone photographer, is that your phone has got a smart little tool for this called grids. Every mobile phone has it. It'll be in your options somewhere. You just have to find it. It's just called grids. And then what the grids does is it arranges two horizontal and vertical lines across your frame, mostly your lenses, which helps you to place different things in your photo. So you can use the lines to place yourself over certain elements of the frame to give you a good image. And I'm going to show you an example of this, or a couple of examples of this, so you have some idea of what I'm talking about. And then we'll go into a little bit more about what this is. So let me just share this with you. You should see a picture come up soon. There you go. I'm just going to remove my face, as beautiful as it is. So here you go. So here's a really good example of what rule of thirds is. As you can see, we've got two vertical lines and two horizontal lines across our screen. And what they're doing is they're allowing you as a photographer to place those lines over certain elements of your frame to help you create a good image. Now, in this particular image, we've got a couple of things going on that are really good. So in the background, we've got where horizon meets the sky. We've got one of those vertical lines. Horizontal lines, apologies. And then in front of us, we've got this beautiful little rock formation that the photographers use as a foreground interest. And what they've done there is they've made sure that the vertical lines coming down are hitting the peak of that. And what it does is and they've taken it off center as well, again, but it's in the middle of one of these cross sections. And what this does, it creates this beautiful image for us as human beings that we enjoy for a whole variety of different reasons, but we like images like this. We like the way that they're arranged and they look pleasing to us. So I'm just going to explain to you what rule of thirds really is in sort of a little bit more depth. So what is it? It's basically what we do. We involve in placing the most important elements of an image off center rather than being bang in the middle, although there's nothing wrong with that, but this is just to get you shooting and thinking about things in different ways to create what we call a more balanced and pleasing image. And as I said, smartphones have got these little grids. So if you go into your menu settings, you'll find a option that allows you to put this grid that you're seeing right now in this photo on your image before you take it, which can help you to create your image. You can use it to place different things that you're looking at to help you find a nice composition. So there's a couple of tips I'm going to give you to start embracing the rule of thirds, and I'm just going to explain them to you now. So what I always say, and it's a bit of a bugbear for me, so straighten up seems obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. And what I mean by that is when a line should be straight. And we've got a good example of when a line should be straight in this very image, the horizon. You don't want that to be wonky. It's just going to put you off. It's not particularly creative. It's just a bit lazy. So what you want to do is look at this picture now. The reason why it works so well is the horizon is in the beautiful third of the image. It leaves you that lovely sky and it's straight. So it doesn't distract you, which allows you to really enjoy the image for what it should be. So, you don't want it to look askew. I mean, sometimes, of course, you can purposely want the lines to be askew if you're being creative, but, that's something we can talk about later. But when you first start shooting, you want to try and make things as simple for yourself as you possibly can, so you can begin to get your head around what these, why these rules, if you like, exist. And rules are there to be broken at some point, but the best thing to do is learn the rule before you break the rule. So one of the easiest things you can learn, straighten up, make sure your horizons are in the right place, all that kind of thing. It's going to help you take better photographs. Also, I like to get subjects out of the center. Now, when I'm doing portraits, I sometimes like to keep them in the center. But for example, again, this is another really good example of what we're talking about. This rock formation, if you'd put that straight into the middle of the picture, it would have looked nice, but it wouldn't look as interesting as this. And you wouldn't have seen all that lovely sky. In fact, it would have taken all of the focus away from the amazing environment that this rock formation is in. What this picture doing this, adding it off center to the right hand side of the image, is it allows you to see both. you see the beautiful rock formation, but then you see the environment that it's in. It's a lovely bit of looking space on the left-hand side of the image. So again, this is where rule of thirds can be a really good help to you guys, because you can place things off center to allow you to show other parts of the image which might be interesting. And in this position, in this particular image, I don't know where this is taken, but it looks like it's somewhere in America. It could be the Grand Canyon. We've got this beautiful sky. We've got a sun coming over the horizon at the top there. We've got this gorgeous rock and mountain formation behind us. This is the reason why we would have this off center, so that you can see all of these different things, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that's one thing as well. So get your subjects off center, and again, this is also related to this. So we leave a little room at the edges. So when your subject's pressed to get right against the edge of your frame, it can be a little uncomfortable to look at. It looks a bit squashed and a bit tight, and it doesn't look as good as it could do, really. So if you give it some breathing space by leaving some space between it and the edge of the frame, which again, this picture is a good example of this. The rocks are, you can see them, they're beautiful, but they're not squashed into the corner. They're not center, but they're not squashed into the corner either. So we've got, again, and it's to do with this rule of thirds. We're getting these lines across our grid are helping us line up the elements of our image to give us a beautiful image to look at. It doesn't look like it's trying to breathe. It looks like it should look. It looks beautiful. But of course, at the same time, don't be afraid to break that rule if you think it looks better. But these are just rules to help you get shooting. And also check your corners. This is another good thing to talk about. Before you take your photograph, do a quick check of all four corners of your frame and make sure there's nothing in them that might distract you. Like a pop of color that shouldn't really be there, or maybe you've got something coming in from the screen which is distracting you. For example, in this picture, we might have had some trees in the background that maybe didn't look quite right, because this is also quite so barren. All these things need to be, thought about before you take your picture, and you can eliminate those by just changing your angle, the way you look at something. So yeah, so this is a basic introduction to the rule of thirds. So again, I don't want to tell you too much about what to do with it, but as a basic rule of beginning to shoot and how to compose an image, it's a really good thing to embrace. So what I would say is this: go to your phone, turn on the grid, and start thinking about all the different ways you can use it. And I'm going to show you another example of what I'm talking about. So this is a bit of a landscape photo, this one here, with a lovely rock formation. Now here's a scene from a famous film, The Joker, where the director has used the rule of thirds here to show you a couple of things. One, the Joker is on the right-hand side of this image. He's in the rule of thirds. He's in the lines. You can see that. But they've allowed a lot more of this image on the left-hand side to show you where he's come down. Because in this scene from this film, he dances down these stairs. And it's there for a reason. It's to show you where he's come from. It's to do with the narrative and story. But again, it's all to do with balancing things. And this works really well because the stairs could be a massive distraction in this image, but actually they add to the photograph. And actually, rule of thirds is something I do a lot in my wedding photography. And I've got an example here to show you. So this is Tom and Helen from their wedding. And I found this lovely little spot to do a little image for those guys. And I knew that if I set them slightly off-center to the right, a little bit of looking space coming in from the left, so you knew where they were, that this would actually look much nicer than just putting them bang in the middle of the frame. And it also allowed me to get rid of what was not particularly interesting on the right-hand side of this image, past where they are, and so that you concentrate on them. And again, I just used the rule of thirds here. If you were to put a grid over this image now, you'd find that they were perfectly aligned on the rule of thirds. And that, again, it's just a starting point for you guys to start taking pictures. So what I would say is this before I leave, is make sure that when you are taking your camera out to take some photos, that you go into a menu and you use the grid system, and that grid system is you use that to help you compose your image and use it to line things up. And if you start doing that, then it won't take you very long before you don't even need the grid, because you'll be able to see the rule of thirds everywhere. Okay, guys, that's our first video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.